Amanko was not known for farming, not for warriors, not even for palm wine. It was known for mouths. If a leaf fell from a tree at midnight, by morning, Mama Adako would know who pushed it. If a goat sneezed, Mama Uche could tell you the animal's full family history. And if a man bought new sandals, Mama Nkiru would declare with full confidence that he must have stolen money from his wife's soup budget. The women of Umoji had one spiritual gift. They could not mind their own business. Every afternoon, they gathered under the big udala tree, wrappers tied tightly around their waists, chewing kola nut and minding people's business. They covered everything. Who was barren, who was secretly pregnant, who beat their wife, who couldn't satisfy their husband, who stole meat at burials, and who snored like a diesel generator at night. Nobody was safe. Not even the dead. But sitting comfortably on the throne of trouble was Ndidi. If your secret survived one whole night in Amanko, it means Ndidi was asleep. Because once Ndidi woke up, your life was public property. And Ndidi didn't just gossip. She seasoned her stories with lies to make them taste better. She had a signature move. She would lean in, drop her voice and say, "I don't want to say it all, but since we are like sisters." And that was how confusion would stretch out its legs, walk across the village, and set somebody's home on fire. Ndidi was careful, strategic. She never shouted from rooftops. She whispered at grinding stones. 2 women grinding pepper, she appeared from nowhere and dropped her bomb casually. "Have you heard? Mama Chima's husband has another wife in the city. That's why he refuses to take them there." 3 women at the stream, she knelt beside them with her bucket and shook her head slowly. "You know me. I don't like to talk, but Nkechi is secretly seeing the pastor. Meanwhile, Brother Tunde is planning to marry her." Eyes widened, jaws dropped. "Are you serious?" She would leave before the fire became a wildfire. By evening, the rumor had already finished running laps around the entire village. The first marriage to crack open was Mama Ifeoma's. Ndidi planted it like a small seed. Just one sentence dropped quietly. "Mama Ifeoma's belly is growing, but her husband has been in Port Harcourt for months." Giggles, head shaking, raised eyebrows. Then one day, the husband came back. He looked at his wife's stomach and he looked 1 second too long. He didn't shout, he didn't fight, but something left his eyes. He stopped laughing, stopped touching her, started sleeping outside. The baby was born. It looked exactly like him. Same nose, same forehead, same everything. But the love inside that house, already broken, already gone. Ndidi chewed her groundnut and said, life. One Sunday after service, women gathered outside the church, hymn books still warm in their hands. Ndidi floated in, smiling sweetly. "My women of substance, I didn't want to say this but is it true the pastor's wife uses the offering money to buy herself expensive wrappers and jewelry?" Gasps. "Eh?" Ndidi shook her head sadly. "I just heard I don't know." And she drifted away. By Tuesday, the church had split down the middle. Choir members were fighting. The offering was now counted in public. One bold young man stood up in testimony time and shouted, "If anyone is stealing church money, God is watching you personally." An investigation was done, accounts were checked, numbers were verified. Nothing was missing. Nothing, not even 1 kobo. But trust shattered like a clay pot on concrete. When the pastor traced everything back to Ndidi's whisper, she was removed from the women's fellowship leadership. Even God's house had not been safe from her mouth. At a big burial ceremony, women were cooking behind the compound, huge pots boiling, goats crying, smoke filling the air. Ndidi bent beside one woman near the fire and whispered, "I don't want to say it but Mama Uju never washes her meat well. At the last burial, half the people had running stomach." That whisper reached Mama Uju in under 5 minutes. Mama Uju exploded. "So, I am dirty now? Me?" Cooking stopped. 2 women started arguing. One bumped into a pot. Hot pepper soup poured across the ground. Goat meat flew everywhere. Children appeared from nowhere, grabbed the meat and ran off laughing. Men rushed in thinking a full fight had broken out. The burial of a respected elder turned into a wrestling competition. All because of Ndidi's mouth. One morning, Mama Chiamaka woke up to find her chicken gone, feathers scattered everywhere. An emergency village meeting was called. Ndidi was standing quietly at the edge of the gathering, then leaned over to one woman and murmured, "I'm not accusing anybody, but I did see Mama Nkechi's son near that compound yesterday evening." That was enough. By evening, Mama Nkechi's house had been searched, her son had been slapped, both families were nearly at each other's throats. Then, the chicken walked back into the compound, alive, proud, and followed by a trail of fresh eggs she had quietly laid in the bush. Complete disgrace. From that day, people started saying, if Ndidi tells you good morning, go and check your clock first. Ndidi had another trick. She would call the little children under the udala tree with the promise of telling them a story. They would run to her happily, sit down and wait. But while she told the story, she was actually fishing. So, your daddy is still shouting at night? Does your mommy still fight with your auntie? Why did your sister leave school? Is it because of what I'm thinking? Children talk too much. They repeat everything. They cannot hold water. So every secret that lived inside those homes slowly found its way into Ndidi's ears. One afternoon, a small boy ran into the compound and shouted at the top of his voice, Mama, is Papa really lazy like Auntie Ndidi said? Silence swallowed the compound whole. The problem was not the child. The child was innocent. The problem was the source. Then, Ndidi made the one mistake that finally broke the camel's back. She whispered, with no proof, no evidence, only her own imagination, that the chief's daughter was secretly seeing a poor palm wine tapper. Within days, the market was boiling. The chief's daughter was mocked openly wherever she went. The young palm wine tapper was beaten badly by men who thought they were defending the family's honor. An emergency meeting was called. The chief himself stood up, eyes burning. Who started this? Who? Silence. Everyone knew. Nobody spoke. Because Ndidi never said things directly. She only heard. She only didn't want to say. She left no fingerprints. Then, Mama Izinwa entered the picture. She was an old woman, quiet, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been watching the broken homes, the divided church, the fear that had settled over the village like harmattan dust. She asked one simple question. Who is the mouthpiece of this village? They told her, Ndidi. Mama Izinwa smiled and set her trap. She invited Ndidi privately, as if sharing a secret. Ndidi arrived quickly, leaning forward before she even sat down, already hungry. My daughter, I heard something serious about you. Ndidi's ears perked up. What is it, Mama? They say you were sent away from another village because of a man. Ndidi froze. The blood drained from her face. Who said that? Mama Izenwa shrugged slowly. I don't want to say but I heard it from the village you were chased from. Ndidi shot to the feet. That is a lie. By the next morning, the rumor had grown legs and was running. They say she stole somebody's husband. They say she was chased out like a dog. Children started singing about her on the street. Women whispered when she walked past. Her own husband started asking questions with eyes she had never seen before. For the first time in her entire life, Ndidi tasted pepper. Real pepper, hot pepper, the kind she had been feeding to everyone else. At the stream, women left when she arrived. At the grinding stone, they went silent the moment she walked up. We don't want to hear anything today, one woman said calmly, and we don't want our names to travel. Children whispered loudly as she passed, hide your secrets, Ndidi is coming. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her heart was racing. Who started it? How would she clear her name? Anger and fear mixed together inside her chest until she couldn't breathe properly. Market day arrived. Ndidi dressed well, tied her best wrapper, and walked in with her head up. But the moment she stepped in, she felt it. Everyone was talking about her. Then one woman, who didn't even recognize her, turned and said casually, my sister, do you know that woman Ndidi? I heard she was chased out of her village for dating married men. Ndidi's blood boiled over. She walked straight to the center of the market and shouted, I did not steal anybody's husband. I was born here. Stop spreading lies about me. Silence fell across the market like a heavy cloth. Then one woman stepped forward, quietly, calmly. This is exactly how I felt when you told everyone I was sleeping with the pastor. Another woman stepped forward. You said I was pregnant for another man. My husband left because of you. More women came, one by one, each one carrying the lie Ndidi had told about them, each one carrying the damage she had caused, the cracked marriages, the broken friendships, the children who were teased, the reputations that never fully recovered. Ndidi opened her mouth to speak. Nothing came out. For the first time in her entire life, her mouth failed her completely. She turned and ran home, and she cried, real tears, the kind she had never cried before, because she had always been the one watching others cry. For 1 full week, Ndidi hid from the world. She fetched water only at night. She crossed to the other side of the road whenever she saw women coming. Even the children ignored her. Her husband finally sat beside her one evening and said quietly, instead of hiding, apologize. The next morning, she got up. She went to Mama Ifeoma's house first. She knocked. When the door opened, she knelt there right on the ground. "I am sorry. I thought it was entertainment. I didn't understand that I was hurting real people." She went house to house. Some people chased her away. Some listened in silence. Some cried. Forgiveness did not come fast. Some doors took weeks to open again. A few never fully opened. But something had changed inside Ndidi. Something that couldn't be unchanged. Now, when she sees two women whispering, she walks away quickly in the other direction. When someone comes to her with, "I heard," she replies, "Let the person speak for themselves." Slowly, the village began to breathe again. The air got lighter. The tension that had lived under the Udala tree lifted little by little like morning fog. Because Ndidi had finally learned what the old women knew all along.